Hey guys, Ken here. I wanted to do a couple videos about some of the things that I know some people wanted a little bit more during class and I wasn't able to do it. So what we're going to be working with today is the drop cap. I'm going to show you a few other things that you can do with the drop cap that make it a little bit more interesting. So go ahead and open up InDesign. Make sure that you're working with Essentials. You might need to reset it so that we have the same interface in front of each other. And then create a new document. We're going to do a half letter, which you can find in print, and look at letter half and change it to the orientation to landscape. Go ahead and hit create and create a text frame. Now we only want basically one paragraph of text. We might have to make modifications, but do it roughly this size. Go to type, fill with placeholder text, and go to type, show hidden characters. Now this will show us that we have these paragraph breaks. We don't want them there. We want one paragraph of text. Now in theory, this would not, you would have your own text in there. So you would just use one paragraph of your text. Now, in order to put a drop cap in, I showed you before using styles. This time I'm going to show you a different way. What we're going to do is select the text, and this only works on the first paragraph. If you select all the paragraphs, it's going to apply to all the paragraphs. So that's why I'm working with just one. So I'm going to select the text. I'm going to go up to the option bar here. And if you notice that we have this icon right here, this is for the drop cap. I'm going to click on it, and I want it to take up almost all of the space. I'm at 7 right now, 7 characters, 1 letter. Now if I wanted to, I could do 2 characters, 3 characters, 4 characters, however many I wanted. I prefer the 1 character. So once I've got this is what I want my drop cap basically to be, but I want it to take up the whole space. So I'm going to increase the size of the text frame. I'm going to increase it to roughly about here so it takes up the full height of the paragraph. Now you don't have to do it this way, obviously. It can take up 3 lines if that's what you want, but for this demonstration I want it to take up the full width. Next thing I want to do is I want to make some modifications to the text. First of all, I'm going to decrease the point size to 11. I'm also going to increase the leading until I get it so it looks a little bit lighter, a little bit more professional in my mind. Okay. Next, I want to create some space between the drop cap and the rest of the text. If you notice, I just put my cursor right after where the G is, and at the first line in between the G and the A. It's important that it's the first line, because if you were to go down here and click, you would actually be not affecting the drop cap itself. So my cursor's flashing, I know it's in the right place, and now I'm going to increase the kerning. Up here, I'm going to look for this icon with the V/A, and I'm just going to bump it up. I'm going to keep bumping until I get kind of where I feel that it's not cramped. There's more room for it. Again, it's an aesthetic choice. You decide. The thing that you need to know is we're going to do some other things to it. It's going to take up more space. Having said that, though, we can always come back and make more changes. If you don't put enough space and it turns out that you need more, you can just go back and do more. All right, so now that we have this, let's change the typeface. Instead of Minion Pro, which is the default, let's look for something else. Let's look for, let's go to Helvetica Look for Helvetica New. Now it looks like we have overset text. And before I go any further, I want to make sure that I adjust this so that the overset text isn't going to be an issue. Again, this is only placeholder text, but if you were working with your own text, you would want to make sure that it isn't hidden. Okay, so now that I've got the text the way I want to make extra adjustments to that drop cap. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the drop cap itself, put my text tool in, and drag it over. I'm going to go up into Type, Create Outlines. And what I've basically done is I have now changed that letter G, the drop cap, to a graphic. But we also need to tell InDesign that it is a graphic. So I'm going to go to Object, Content. Well, first let me select it this way with the direct select. I'm going to select it, go to Object, Content, and I'm going to tell InDesign to treat this as a graphic. You can see the lines go through, which basically means there's no graphic in there. We also, in most situations, if your first letter is an I or something like that, you may not see this as strongly as I see it on the G, but the text is now cramped back up. So I'm going to increase that kerning there. I'm going to put my cursor in front of the A, and I'm going to bump it up. I'm going to drop it down to plus 25, maybe even a little bit more, something about like this. All right, so now we have a graphic. The G is now a graphic. It is no longer text. It is text that we can read. It's a glyph, but it isn't created the same way as this other text. So go ahead and select the G and go up into Object, Effects, and let's give it an outer glow. I'm going to change the screen to multiply, and I'm going to change the color to black. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to hit OK again. Now all of these are by your choice. I want you to know that you have this option here. You have to be careful with using some of these though, because it tends to, I don't know, they get used too often, and if you do it too strong, it distracts from your overall layout. So I'm going to hit OK, and now I want to put an image in. I'm going to go up to, it's still selected, so I'm going to go up into File, Place, Command D. I'm going to select an image. Now I've got quite a few that I can choose from, but I'm going to hit here, and now I've just placed an image in where the G is. All the same things apply when we're putting images in. I can fill frame proportionately. I can, with the selection tool, the direct selection, I can modify how big it is. I can move it around, center it maybe, put it however I want it to be. Okay? You make that decision for yourself. All right? Now basically what I've tried to show you is that the drop cap is more than just an individual letter. You can treat it as a graphic if that's what you want to do. You can modify it in almost any way that you would modify an image. The last thing I want to do is I want to go to View, Screen Mode, and I'm going to go to Preview. And this gives me a look of what it would look like. If, for example, you were building a postcard or something, you would probably want to center it a little bit. You might want to put a border around. So I'm going to do something like this and change to black. Maybe make it 0.25. And I'm going to move it around a little bit till I get it right where I want. Now I'm going to center these. Center and center. And then move them together. You could also use the same graphic, and I'm going to, that one that we just created, I'm going to File, Place. I'm going to put that same graphic that I put in before. I'm going to do the fitting. And now, to give it a little bit more, I'm going to create a new graphic, make it roughly about this size. I'm making a frame based on that original image. And I'm going to fill with white. White with the hexadecimal is 6Fs. And I'm going to go into my layers, window, layers, and I'm going to move this rectangle and the image below I was working on before. Okay, so this is a way that you could kind of proceed if this is what you wanted to do. Again, anything that you want to, you're just limited by your creativity. Play around with this. The image I chose, I don't know if it's the best one. I like the color. You wouldn't have to put an image if you don't want. You could just change the color to whatever you feel you're comfortable with. Same with the size of the text, that type of thing. All right, well, that's it for this. I hope that this has kind of cleared up any problems that you might have with the drop cap. Thanks.